Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another Wrestling Talk video, and today we're going to be talking about some great stuff. And thank you for coming back to Breakdown. If you were a viewer before, or you caught some of my videos before, or wondered what happened to me, because I took all the videos and went over to Brad Tragic, the main channel. This is Breakdown. Hope you enjoy the content I'm putting out. Hope you checked out some older videos. And I did do things about like who I think should win and how I should book it and things like that. But I'm kind of doing different superstars now and how I would book them and stuff like that. Well, I have a short video. This video is not going to be super long or at all. But this is how I would book Baron Corbin as of right now. And so a lot of these videos are going to be how I would book the superstar as of right now. The last video I put up was Jinder Mahal, how I book him after his first title reign. And I put first because hopefully there's many more for Jinder to get. But that's what I'm going to do with these videos is from now. So if you look at the published date, you're going to know when I published it, how I would have booked him from then. And maybe they steal ideas from me, maybe they don't. We'll see what happens. They probably don't because they're not smart enough to book anything elaborate like I would ever book if I was a WWE writer. Because if I was a WWE writer, the ratings would be skyrocketing because I would do things that the fans would love and also things that they wouldn't expect. The first thing I would do, so here is what my plans would be is if they brought me in tomorrow and said, we have no idea, we need a fresh writer. We've seen this guy on YouTube says that he could write really well. He has some great ideas. We've watched his videos. He's saying things that I never even thought of. They bring me in. They sit me down and Vince says, I want you to book for the WWE. I want you to be the head booker. You tell the writers and we will filter it. But then with that, I would say, as long as they do what I want them to do and don't sidestep things and make things worse than what they already are, I will make your product super over. That's what I'm going to tell them. And then they sit and say, okay, we're stuck on Baron Corbin. What do we do? He's got money in the bank. What are we going to do with him? This is what I would say. This is what we're going to do with Baron Corbin. We are going to take that briefcase and use it to turn him into a babyface. This is how we do it. He takes on John Cena at Summerslam. He loses. But after the match, he gets his comeuppance. He beats up Cena, lays him out. So people, they got the major heat on Baron Corbin. They got the major heat. And then he even says, backstage said, I'm getting ready for later on. And that's all he says, and he walks away from the interviewer. He comes out, cashes in the main event, tries to take out Nakamura after Nakamura defeats Jinder Mahal. Tries to take out Nakamura. Nakamura takes out Corbin, beats him, keeps the title, walks out of SummerSlam with the title. Baron Corbin shows up on the SmackDown after that, and the people are hating him, and they're like that. He comes out, and he has a rematch with Nakamura in a non-title match, but they're trying to close the chapter on the feud. That's why they do this. I have him come out. I have him, whatever. Nakamura beats him. They wrestle for a decent amount of time. The match is a pretty good match. People think it's a pretty good match, They go out there and they put a decent amount of time. They put, maybe like a 10, 12-minute match on. Crowd, one of those matches where you want the crowd to be over. Get the crowd over. Get the crowd to respect Corbin, where he almost beats Nakamura, but Nakamura somehow beats him. After that match, Baron Corbin is hurting, and he's walking the back. Then you see somebody interview Rusev or Jinder Mahal. I would love it to be Jinder Mahal, honestly. This is what I would love. I would love Jinder Mahal to be the guy that somebody's talking to him back and say, how do you feel after losing your world championship? And he says, I need to make an impact. I need to make a statement that says that I'm still a major player in the WWE. And Jinder goes on to say this. The Singh brothers are back by his side. And he says, I think I need to find somebody to make a warning to the wrestlers backstage. And as that's happening, they do the interview. It's been about 5 minutes, but Baron Corbin's still lumbering backstage. He's kind of sitting down in a chair backstage and kind of holding his head and holding his stomach. And then the three people, the Singh brothers and Jinder Mahal, just beat the living crap out of Baron Corbin. Beat him up so bad that the crowd is like wondering like what is going on, and they're beating up Corbin. They slam him. They bust him wide open. His head's cut. Have him blade or whatever. Have him cut. He's bleeding, and he just keeps on battering and battering and battering him to the point where his whole face is almost drenched in blood. And I mean, it doesn't have to be that bad. It could be kind of smeared a little bit, and this kind of could be a forehead. And they get him to the point to where the crowd is like, it seems to be a serious point then. And then the locker room goes and removes Jinder Mahal from around Baron Corbin. They get Baron, they load him up in the ambulance. He goes away for a month. You do not see Baron Corbin. You do not see him at all. This is what you're going to do. You're going to put Baron Corbin off the TV. You're going to go back into the studio. You're going to try and come up with the most viral theme song that you can ever come up with for a superstar. And I'm talking about the likes of like Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, those kind of Randy Orton, those kind of music to where when the music hits, you know exactly who that star is and you love that music. That's the kind of music that Baron Corbin needs to be that top star. Because I honestly, the other night, that's what made me think about doing this video, is that I could see Baron Corbin being kind of like a Triple H, being a guy that you hate because he's so good. And they can come out there and he can cut a good promo and blah, 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 stuff like that. But he needs to go, and during this time, he needs to go work with people. He needs to go down to NXT, not be on TV or anything. But he goes down there and he learns how to cut a promo from Bobby Roode. He practices with Bobby Roode. He practices with, who's good at doing promos. Even with some of the newer people like Drew McIntyre, like that. Go to them and say, how can I improve my promos? How can I get better? How do I change my speech to be better? And even then, bring him back, put him on in the back of Raw, have him learn from guys like Paul Heyman, people like that. Have him learn from them. Have him learn, and then kind of put him back on SmackDown, but don't put him on the roster. Don't have him come out yet. Start playing vignettes. And what would happen is at the Royal Rumble. Here's the big key. Jinder Mahal is in the ring. Maybe one of the Singh brothers is in the Royal Rumble too. Have Jinder be in the ring at the Royal Rumble. And then Corbin comes out. And the crowd would erupt. And the reason why, because they had been building up these vignettes where they would play the new theme song that people were going to be super hyped about. And it would say, Baron Corbin is coming back. And then he would cut sort of a mini promo on each vignette that would talk about how he's going to disintegrate Jinder Mahal when he comes back to the WWE, and that no one's going to stand in his way, and blah, blah, blah. It's like this, but it would be a badass kind of promos. It would put him over, and I think the crowd would get into him so much if he didn't do heel promos, but he did kind of more babyface, badass promos. And you put him in the ring with Jinder Mahal, people are going to boo the crap out of Jinder Mahal. They're going to love Baron Corbin for beating up Jinder Mahal. That's what you should do. Boom! Baron Corbin to the moon! and the one person I think that would relate him to, if they did something like that, would be Diesel, would be Kevin Nash. They could do something like that with him, but it would be way better, because in today's age, it's not back in gimmick days where everybody has a funky gimmick and he's facing a clown and a rapper and a... You know what I mean. There was a lot of stupid gimmicks. I can't even come up with all the gimmicks that they had back then. There was a dumpster, or the trash man. There was a plumber. I mean, a sumo wrestler. Like, how many other gimmicks do you need? This ain't that generation, so I think he would be a lot better. I mean, leave your comments down below. What do you think? Do you think Baron Corbin could be a great babyface if he changed his promo skills and he got way, 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 way more iconic music than what he had? And I kind of like the one he had before, but I do understand kind of why they changed it, because he's more of a metal guy, and you got to kind of have that metal kind of vibe to him. I kind of like the Lemmy song that Triple H had, so if they could do something, they can't bring Lemmy back from the dead and do something like that, but if they get a metal band to maybe write his theme song, somebody that he respects, and maybe he talks to him and WWE talks to him and said, hey, Baron really likes your music. He wants you to do his theme song. I think something cool with like maybe Stuck Mojo would be kind of cool. Which I don't even know if they're still around. I think they're still around. But I think Stuck Mojo would be kind of cool if they did some kind of theme song for him. And then boom, or even somebody like Wednesday 13 or the Murder Dolls. Freaking awesome. You don't have to say who did the song, or talk about. I mean, you don't have to say like, oh, the Murder Dolls or Wednesday 13 or something like that. You can just play the song, and people would know who it was. You don't have to tell nobody. They could reference it like maybe like once or twice. Even on the WWE Network, they could do it there, so they don't even have to talk about it. They can just say, hey, if you want to learn about the song, go check out the whatever. He talks very in depthly about it, about how he respects the musicians that made his theme song. That's all you gotta do. Because then WWE Network, whatever, he can do whatever he wants. And I think that's something too. Is before he returns, he should cut an interview on WWE Network where Corey Graves sits down with him because he's such a big commodity that maybe during that time they had the Superstar shakeup. Supposedly they might have it post SummerSlam. So if they had the shakeup and he stayed on SmackDown, but during that time they have an interview and see where he's going to go. We know you're injured right now, but we'd like to get your thoughts. And even during that time, have him cut babyface promos, but sound like a badass and say, well, right now the only thing I'm worried about, is fighting Jinder Mahal. He put me on a commission. There was no reason for it. You can say something like that. Dude, I'm telling you, Baron Corbin could be a monster babyface if they do it right. And maybe he can't present himself that way, but I think that he should know by now. Baron Corbin should know by now. He is 2 years in, 3 years in? I don't know. I lost track. He's been wrestling for 3 years for the WWE for the most part. A little bit more, probably training and stuff, but he should know by now that you can make good money if you're a top main event star. So if I were him, I would want to learn as much as I can in order to be a bigger star. And if they could get Baron Corbin over, boom, 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 he could be like a Rusev guy to where he's almost like impenetrable, where Rusev right now, like you can book him and have him lose to Ty Dillinger and have him lose to Sami Zayn and Mike Kanellis and all these other people as a heel, and it doesn't do anything to him because the next week he could come out and destroy John Cena and put him through a table, and he's right back to where he was. That's the guy Rusev is because he's put himself on the map as being a tough Bulgarian brute, Machka, all this other stuff. So you can do the same thing with Baron Corbin, build him up in such a way, because when Rusev was brought in, he was undefeated. He won the U.S. Championship. He did so many things, and then they were goofing him off after that. But it didn't matter that they goofed him off because he was such a high commodity because he was undefeated. He had the U.S. Championship for a long amount of time. Cena beat him. And then after then, he kind of, like I said, ever since then, he's kind of just been lingering, but still been a strong mid-carder. So they could do that with Baron Corbin. He is right now. But just imagine if you can kind of let him be the upper mid-carder, kind of above Rusev, and kind of give him that spot to where he could always be wrestling Rusev for the number one contender spot, or always be wrestling Jinder Mahal for the number one contendership and stuff like that. I mean, there's always those matches where they always had a number one contender match, and you always know who's going to win. Like the women thing is just so stupid on Raw, it's ridiculous. You can do that with Baron Corbin. So there's my thoughts. Baron Corbin, top babyface. That's how I would do it. How would you book Baron Corbin to be babyface? How would you change him? I think I pretty much covered the promo skills, the theme music needs to change. Maybe some little mannerisms, but for the most part, I think the way he walks the ring, the way he acts in the ring, his in-ring ability is pretty decent. It's pretty good. I think the way he works with smaller guys and the way he works with, the people his size and even bigger than him, I think he did a great job. When he was wrestling, I think he wrestled Strowman one time, or he had a slight interaction with him on Raw before they did the draft. I was all hyped for that. I still want to see Strowman versus Baron. And I hope we get it next year or the year after, a couple years. Within a couple years span, I hope we get that because I think that would be a hell of a feud. The things you can do with a babyface Baron Corbin, if you put him in the ring against Braun Strowman, I think right now, like, let's say the shakeup happens. Corbin loses cash in. Even if you don't turn him babyface, he's in the ring with Braun. People are probably going to cheer Braun Strowman over him. But if Braun is able to put himself over as a heel and let Baron be the babyface, I'm on board. I would be on board for a babyface Baron Corbin. Anyways, that's all my comments. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your comments down below about what do you think about Baron Corbin being a heel? What do you think Baron Corbin being a babyface? and how would you change him to become better as a professional wrestler? I think he's really good at what he is, and I think coming from football, he's a pretty good guy. I think there's been so many guys coming from football, but I don't think in when I was watching wrestling, they referred to it, a lot of wrestlers as being from football, and I never got it. Well, now they're starting to come back again. There's a lot of football players coming into wrestling, and they don't really say it all the time, but every once in a while they'll drop, oh yeah, this guy played basketball, this guy played football, and I'm like, really? It's crazy. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, keep rocking, and keep on watching wrestling.